Hi everybody. Hi everybody. It's your friend Dan Hutchins. We're back again for another episode of the Hutchins Hut. So what are we doing? Just checked in with my sister and brother. They're up at the park right now. They're not gonna be back until like I don't know, another hour and a half. Give or take, I don't know. Hell if I know, they'll be back probably by lunchtime for all I know. I really don't know. Nor do I care. But anyway, yeah, they trust me. Just was down here uh, you know, doing some music on my computer. I did about 71% of my psychology key terms and just got kind of bored of it. So then I was like, I'd catch up a little bit on the episode from Friday and from this morning on a GMM. And then sister and brother told me I should feed the dog. So I'm just feeding the dog right now. Dog's gonna get her breakfast. And so yeah. Also, I don't know. I was up kind of early again. Like I said, I'm an early guy when it comes to weekends. Yeah, on the weekends I like to wake up early, and just like any other day. On the school days I wake up early. On tutoring I wake up early. For weekends I wake up early. For church I wake up early. It just doesn't matter to me because, again, it all kind of comes like second nature to me, y'all. It all just comes back to me again. Like karma, bitch. Like karma. But anyway, yeah, that's what's going. Marley. Marley, get your ass out here. You want to be on the show? Come on. Marley. Come on. Eh, she's kind of lazy. As you, already have noticed. She's kind of lazy. She's a lazy one, she is. She's a real lazy one. She is a really lazy one. Much more lazier than Dallas. Much more lazier. But anyway, lazy is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Laundry. I had to run this through like 2 more times last night. And so yeah. I had myself a cup of spiced apple cider this morning. I might actually pour myself another cup, actually. Yeah, if I can actually find my cup. Where did I put my cup? Oh, that's a good question. It's right on over here next to my New Mexico hat. There it is. Well, it's not really my cup. It's my brother's cup. It's called, the Pussers. The Pussers. I don't know what the Pusser is, but it doesn't matter. It's a cup. So, and you see right here, this is my art. It was my art. And right up there, Cookie Monster mug. Oh, what's good, my people? What's good? Okay, so I had to put the last Trader Joe's waters in the refrigerator. Bubba was making some sweet tea, so he just didn't take the bags out because he was procrastinating in Procrastination Nation. Got myself some Signature Select apple cider. And yes, it's honey flavor. It's honey flavor apple cider. It's the good shit. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah. It's good time. Good time. Good times. Guten Tag. Good day. Guten Tag. Good day. Okay. So, and like I said, college football doesn't usually happen until like, I don't know, 11, 12 o'clock. And then it goes the whole afternoon and put the evening. So there's really not that much of sports on today. Most of it will happen tomorrow. And there is one game that they will be doing on Columbus Day. But I don't know if I'll watch that one or not. I'm gonna do the highlight of that the next day or the day after. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, more disappointing than the anime. Let me remind you, I went back and I finished Superman again this morning. I got up at like real early this morning and I finished going through my 5th time of watching Superman on HBO Max. And let me remind you, Superman, one of the best interpretations we've seen since 1978. Like I told you guys back in the summer, back during Eric Appreciation Month, we told you Superman was good. We told you Superman was good. We told you. I have told you. I told you. But, you think I came unprepared? Nah, man. Nah. But, make no mistakes, because we have our computer right here. We have our computer right here. Yep, we do. We're just doing a little bit of some sounds from Troy and Chocolate Factory 2005. We were doing a little bit of some Veruca Salt. The Veruca Salt song from Troy and Chocolate Factory. But now, yeah, we also was going back and doing the inflation of the 2005 Violet Beauregarde full analysis. But again, you know I like doing that kind of on my own. So, you know me. I like to stay true. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to go over to our friends, Comic Book Resources. Yes, we're going to our friend Comic Book Resources. Because there's a lot we need to do. There's a lot of universe we got to discuss. Okay. So what is going on with Amazing Spider-Man? Or more specifically, Andrew Garfield. Alright, this is kind of dumb. No, it's just kind of dumb, honestly. Why the hell it goes through all this hoops and barriers and all this other yama. Let's just say that when I was trying to watch some Troy and the Chocolate Factory, it did the same kind of thing. It blocked me out and it said I have to do age verification to say that I'm an adult and that I could watch Troy and Chocolate Factory. Because YouTube is starting to really start to be like, oh, we're going to crack it down. Oh, the federal government, they're going to crack it down. So unless you prove your age, you can't watch Troy and Chocolate Factory, apparently, on YouTube. I just discovered that this morning. I'm like, that's never happened before. Well, it's kind of a new thing the federal government is doing. It's kind of stupid, though. But make no mistake, I'm 28 years old, and I am a lifelong blueberry addict. So, enough about that. Now we're talking about Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. He finally reveals what is the fates for his 3rd movie. And yes, we talked about him before in the past here on the Hutchins Hut. Make no mistake when there aren't none. Make no mistake when there aren't none. Because we have talked about Andrew Garfield several times on the Hutchins Hut's original. Several times. So Andrew Garfield. Okay. He confirms the future of his fan favorite movie. From our other partner in crime, the Screen Ramp, he recently discussed the future of his series, specifically responding to if the 3rd one's happening. He quotes, "It's not happening, and I don't believe it would. But sweet for you to think that it would happen," he says. Confirming a 3rd film would plan all the way back in limbo, as we were supposed to have it in 2016. But now it's almost 2026. It's been 10 years, and there has been no Spider-Man 3. Okay, Garfield made his debut in 2012. This was directed by Mark Webb, and again, we already know the whole spiel because we already said it already. And the first movie, honest tweet, drew very large positive, where the second one kind of, it tanked. So yeah, the second one in 2014, it kind of tanked. But the first one with Dr. Kurt Connors, good. The second one that has Electro and Dane DeHaan as Green Goblin, but also that's also where we had Green Goblin was responsible for killing Gwen Stacy, who was played by Emma Stone. Okay, but then he returns for 2021's Spider-Man No Way Home for the multiverse, from the multiverse saga. Okay, what would it take to bring Andrew Garfield back as the Spider-Man? Well, that's a good question. People have been asking that question for the last 10 years now. Garfield opens up about his personal desire to return to the role of Spider-Man. However, he doesn't necessarily say fans might expect to see him back as Spider-Man. Hint, hint, might expect him to see Spider-Man. I would love to play him again to some capacity, but I don't think it would work because it would be very weird. Plus, having a 30-year-old playing Spider-Man is kind of like where Tom is right now. He's kind of in 30s now, too. He's a 30-year-old man playing an 18-year-old Spider-Man. So, I would love to do something very unique and very different. Very offbeat, weird. But, surprisingly enough, he has enough creative freedom to do whatever the fuck he wants. Because he's Spider-Man, goddammit, he's Spider-Man. I've actually met Andrew Garfield on Times Square, New York, back in 2017. This was like after his second movie, I met Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Trust me, I have pictures to prove it, but I'm not going to show it to you because, take my word, I have met Andrew Garfield. I've not met Toby and I've not met Tom, but I have met Andrew. I have met Andrew. I can confirm I have. And yes, it remains unknown whether Garfield will done Spider-Man again. Again, he has a pretty decent score on the Metacritic and the IMDb and stuff like that. He's got a solid 8 out of 10 on the fan reviews right now. So, from also friends on Screen Rant, again, this is powered by our friends, the Screen Rant. Partnershipped with our friends at Comic Book Resources. Okay, so that's the catch up on what's going on with Andrew Garfield, the Spider-Man, and what will happen. And of course, the third one will not happen. The third one will not happen. See, as I'm putting my double thumbs like this, yeah, it means it won't happen. Okay, one of Batman's most controversial stories will become a movie next year. Yes. Alright, this is kind of dumb. Alright, whatever, man, whatever. Okay, one of Batman's most controversial stories will become a movie next year. And this is only one of the things I'm telling you about early for next year. The rest of it will be during the Christmas break. Okay, so one of the new DC animated movies they're making next year is going to be Batman Nightfall. Yes, Batman Nightfall. In case you guys don't know, Batman Nightfall is a book that has happened in the 90s. And this is when Jean Paul Valley took up the responsibility of Bruce Wayne as the new Batman protector named Azrael. Yes, Azrael. Also, Batman Nightfall Part 1 will basically be kind of done by the same director who did the 3 parts of the Crisis on Infinite Earths from last year. I hated those movies. The Crisis on Infinite Earths movies. I hated them. I hated them. I hated them. Also, the director from Justice League Warlord is actually going to come back too. And more producers and executives. Uh, Batman Nightfall and its influence on previous adaptations. Well, the last time we actually saw this happen was back during The Dark Knight. This was, again, from the Christian Nolan Dark Knight Rises, wherein which Bane, which was played by Tom Hardy, put Christian Bale's Batman out of commission by breaking his back. And then Bruce Wayne had to recover by going to see Ra's al Ghul over to the Lazarus Pits. Variations of him in the story have also been seen from Kevin Conroy's Batman from Batman the Animated Series. Kevin Conroy just passed away not too long ago, so may he rest in peace. Also, there's been several mentions and homage to it from Batman Arkham Knight, again from the video game of the same name. Also, Justice League Doom and Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles also are prominent with Bane. So yes, Batman Nightfall will happen, and it will happen next year. It's an animated project, of course, and there is legend has it that it was actually released in the spring of 1993. 1993 is when Batman Nightfall had took place. April 1993 was when it was published. The original year and month of publication for Batman Nightfall, I was right on the money, 90s, April 1993. Published by our friends at DC. Okay, so. And now we're going to talk about X-Men. X-Men. Yes, X-Men. What's going on with X-Men? X-Men needs to bring back one thing from Krakoa if they want to bring the franchise back. And this, again, we have talked about on the Hutchins original before. This is from the Powers of X and the House of X. You remember the Powers of X and the House of X. I have digital copies to prove it, but I'm not showing you for the sake and time of this video. But again, simply some have argued that X-Men books have been recycled throughout time. Again, the Phoenix Force, which kind of takes over Jean Grey, as in the very, very ill-fated movie The Dark Phoenix, which I also did a special of that. Unfortunately, the pendulum has snapped so fast, like a rubber band about to go off a rubber band plane, and it wasn't long before when X-Force basically had this mutant academy where there's perpetual hope that the mutants versus the humans grinded back on the X-Men books. Back when Krakoa was the mutant nation. Back not that long ago. Again, the status quo for the X-Men, is it going to be good? Well, we should hope so. We should certainly fucking hope so, considering that now we got our license back to them just last year. The Marvel Universe has maintained a really stable, constant upheaval, despite the fact the drastic storyline might try to dry it down. Again, the restoration of a disbanded team, again now back in the manifold, and the reversal of world-altering, shattering events like the Dark Reign and, the Hellfire Gala and all that other shit. That's all here, right in this series. Right in the series, yo. This has impacted the X-Men so much that it's also has impacted the Avengers and also the Defenders, aka Heroes for Hire. Yes, and again, without Professor X, we have Cyclops, Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Storm, Beast, Wolverine, or as we say Logan, Kitty Pryde, we also say Shadowcat, Nightcrawler, and some other classic members of the team. However, it doesn't really feel like an X-Men. So, no matter how many fucking times they had to rebuild the X-Mansion. Again, if you remember in X-Men Apocalypse, there was a time when Quicksilver, Evan Peters, went in and saved everybody. So, that being said, the X-Men comics draw some shakeups. Very much some shakeups, like one of those McSalad shakers you used to get at McDonald's until they discontinued the hell out of those. The X-Men history has an alternative version of the one that's also been drastically tied to the story we know, The Days of the Future Past, which is still one of my favorite all-time stories of the X-Men. and it still is one of my favorite all-time stories of the X-Men, The Days of the Future Past. In the movie, The Days of the Future Past, they brought Wolverine back to 1970, right around Vietnam, to try to beat the mutant-killing Sentinels done by Trask, who was played by Peter Dinklage. Okay, so that clears up a lot of things because X-Men Comics has been shaken up a lot. Again, especially, as we just mentioned, from the Days of the Future Past. House of M and No More Mutants, which are also really big X-Men stories, also are a prime example of this. It's had a long-term effect, and the entire Marvel Universe has kind of fell with it. Although, we've also seen this, like we said before, like 20 minutes ago, where we talked about Jean Grey and her ill-fated Dark Phoenix saga. And the very, very, very god-terrible, god-awful movie that they made under the 20th Century Fox back before Disney bought it back, just recently. We've done a special of that before, so I remind y'all again. One of the best recent examples of the Krakoa Age of X-Men is from the Utopia Nation, from which they withdrawn. Again, this has also been referenced again in Giant Size X-Men number 1 back in 1975. This is where the new type of stories is drawn up and created by our masters in the Marvel Universe. The Krakoan Age of X-Men has also been dominated by political maneuvering of the Quiet Council, Orcus, the other players of the mutant side of the Marvel Universe. The traditional good and evil conflicts that still play out amongst all of us. Again, with radical different roles of power, radical different ways of power. Usual suspects like Mr. Sinister, who is very much teased to be in the next season of the X-Men 97, is then going to plot a plan to go against the X-Men. The Krakoan Age also brings us the various forces that took down mutant ideals to exploit the opportunity when presented. Also, it's fascinating to also say the mutant kind wield such as unprecedented power from the Mysterium and Resurrection Protocol, while also further solidifying the global influence around the world. Throughout the time, Icarus also came to mind because he came flying in out of nowhere. Again, we know Icarus because he was on the Eternals. So they have been kind of crossed paths before. Just like the Avengers had their Avengers Mansion, the X-Men also have their mansion, which is what we call up in Westchester, New York. Westchester, New York, you know, Westchester, New York. It's like a little area up in New York City, Westchester, New York. However, it's been the Team HQ and the headquarters for as long as we remember, all the way back from when they were introduced during the Civil Rights Movement, the American Civil Rights Movement. Was when Stan Lee had created the X-Men. The fall of Krakoa has removed the sense of unity. Again, the fall of X was a really devastating time indeed. However, this tries to unite everything we know from Krakoa. However, X-Men has faded into obscurity for a little bit because of the very terrible movies like New Mutants and Dark Phoenix and all those other ill-fated bombs of X-Men films that we've had before we just recently brought them back. Or should we say, Disney has brought them back. The lack of unity from the rest of the Marvel Universe can also be felt within the heart in the X-Men universe. Whether it be X-Force, or New York versus X-Men, or the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, or anything like that. However, Krakoa kind of serves as a backdrop and a symbol of what used to have been great X-Men, until it wasn't. In many ways, the status quo of Krakoa has established a stronger base than the X-Men have ever seen. In fact, it has done much as we know from its references. It also offers many creative freedoms to provide logical narrative to the framework and crossover to feel more convisive. While also readers felt the book spent too much time on the political and the government part of the nation rather than, having wars. In the past, the fall of X is oftentimes said to have a really compelling case of the current state of mind of the mutants, as hence the day before. There's a strong argumental case that Krakoa represents one of the few times X-Men actually had status quo, as trying to maintain a peace and world peace. But, the world's never been at fucking peace. It's never been at fucking peace, and I don't think it will be in peace. Even after 1,000 years after I'm gone, the world will still be broken. It'll just get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse as the ocean levels rising, places going underwater, cities go underwater, the whole shit. So yeah, the post-fall of X hasn't been as compelling as the current state of mind. However, it's more engaging than what has hence been before. There's a strong case that Krakoa has once represented one of the few times X-Men had the status quo restate their foundation, allowing them to build on to the future. What do they need for a new status quo? Well, with Resurrection, being kind of a big thing all now of a sudden, Resurrection, with Scarlet Witch and stuff like that. Resurrection protocol has remained debatable. However, the Hellfire Gala, or the Hellfire Club, which is a very, very, very exclusive mutant club, that has very, very, very sexy females in it. Anyway, the most impactful element of Krakoa itself is the physical place and where they can unite as a community. So, it's also kind of the grand narrative of every X-Men book. X-Men also moves forward, but Marvel should revisit this idea of having a new status quo. That way, from the pattern and the Pantera in which the team has from their early days. X-Men needs to have a new home. So if Krakoa cannot be the new status quo, they're going to have to find a new home. You know what I'm saying? And they have to flip the script and flip this page so they can find a new home. X-Men comics have also subverted the status quo so much that Krakoa has also glimpse of this, as we saw from the House of X, the Powers of X, and then the Fall of X. All which go hand in hand. So again, you cannot undo the damage you've already done. Goddamn. You cannot undo the damage you've already done. What's in the past stays in the past, and you can't fucking change it. Even if you fucking had a DeLorean, you probably fucking won't be able to change it. And unless you had a Doctor Who phone booth, you still would not be able to change it. God fuck. But anyway, on a brighter note, though, that's what's going on with X-Men. So I told you about what's going on with Batman. I told you what's going on with Spider-Man. And now I told you what's going on with X-Men. So again, until next time, I see you on the hut.